everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering Jeremiah chapters 21 through 24. And it's going to be a hell of a thing. We just got past this, like, antinatalist kind of, philosophical pessimism here in the last chapter. Now we're hopping into something else, presumably. Why don't you tell us about this stuff that we're about to read after I introduce the book that I'm reading, which is the King James Version of the Bible.
The King James?
Yeah, the only good version.
Oh, my God. I am reading the English Standard Version.
We also have the Hebrew Bible translation with commentary by Robert Alter.
We also have the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews in the new King James Version of the Bible.
Alongside Eerdman's commentary on the Bible and
this one right
the Hermenia commentary by Holiday.
Yeah, that's what we have. So we got quite a lot of books. So do you remember all those woes in Isaiah?
Oh, I remember.
A lot of this is going to be like that.
Woe is me.
Oh. Whoa.
Yeah, damn straight woe is you.
Whoa, man.
Yeah. So but we do have some other stuff. Like, do you remember the story about the loincloth?
Oh, I remember the loincloth.
We're going to have another one of those allegories.
Yeah, how miraculously a loincloth got dirty and then grimy and then
rotted away.
Yeah.
Lots symbolism there. So we're going to...
Well, that's a sign that God is real. When your loincloth rots away.
When you leave your loincloth outside and then come back in a month and it rotted away.
Yep.
Whoa, yeah, God did it.
That must be some, like, really aggressive crabs or something.
Wow. We get a lot of metaphors in this book. Because remember the whole Potter thing last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got another thing like that coming up, another allegory. And, of course, you can tell by the title, 2 baskets of figs.
Ooh, it's delicious.
Yeah. Who wants to go get some baskets of figs later?
Not me.
No?
I'm not
Me
going.
neither, actually. I really don't feel like getting... I don't like figs that much where I'm willing to go get baskets of them.
Fig Newtons are all right.
Yeah.
I like those things.
So anyways, these chapters that we are covering today. So Eerdman's actually places these in their own section pretty much. So chapters 21 through 24:10. Actually, I think chapter 24 is like super short. I don't know if that's the last of it. Yeah, it would be just 10 verses. Okay. So, all the chapters we're covering today are sectioned off in here. Let's see what Eerdman's has to say about these chapters.
Let's see. Oh, by the way, this is what a halo is supposed to look like.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, that's not the little circle thing above the head. It's supposed to be that.
Okay.
It's got a glowing corona for that.
Oh,
Look at
now
all
we're
that
now we're demonetized.
corona. Yeah.
I'm talking about a crown piece.
No,
it's
AI.
Demonetized. We just got demonetized.
Thanks, Chris.
Man, just like back in the 19th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back on the 19th.
For the
Seemed
colonized
very famous.
elite, the Davidic kingship was profoundly implicated in the myth of Yahweh and the theodicy designed to mask the failure of God. The chronological attention to specific named kings should not seduce. There is explicit oh my God, this fucking word. Dischronologization.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So that's just saying that they fucked up their
The
timelines.
Yes, okay. Coupled.
Dischronalization?
No, dischronalization.
Dischronalization.
No, dischronologization. I don't know. It's
Wow,
really
that's
tough.
pretty bad.
It's really tough.
Chronologization.
Close enough. That we're going with that.
Love it. We're going to have to go back and hear that so I can look it up and use it later. It's a great word.
Yeah, coupled with a dehistoricization of the tradition in the effort to dispense with the failure of specific Davidic monarchs, while at the same time sustaining the ideology of Davidic kingship. Common to old world mythologies of the Levant, and wider for that matter, the ideology of kingship constitutes a necessary ingredient in the rehabilitation of the myth of Israel. Chapters 2 through 20 have spared no expense in asserting the total corruption of the community from top to bottom. The present text, however, of the entire elite in the old Judean monarchy, including prophets and priests, and the attempt to load special blame for the sins of the nation on them should come as no surprise.
Yeah, they always blame those guys.
Yeah. So, more of that stuff. Classic.
I mean, definitively classic. It's in the Bible. So why don't we hop into it then?
Absolutely.
All right, chapter 21. The word which came into Jeremiah from the Lord, when King Zedekiah sent unto him Pashur, the son of Melchiah, and Zephaniah, the son of Maaseiah, the priest, saying, Inquire, I pray thee, of the Lord for us, for Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, maketh war against us. If so be that the Lord will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may go up from us. Then Jeremiah said unto them, Thus shall you say to Zedekiah, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, wherewith ye fight against the king of Babylon and against the Chaldeans, which besiege you without the walls, and I will assemble them into the midst of this city.
So the word Chaldeans, and of course they use the Hebrew, is the normal designation for the Babylonians in 2 Kings 24 through 25 and Jeremiah. The term originally referred to tribal groups who lived between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers, between the cities of Babylon and the Persian Gulf. During the time the Assyrian Empire asserted its authority over the south, these tribes were the center of anti-Assyrian resistance. They therefore initiated a Chaldean dynasty with Nabopolassar, whose son was Nebuchadnezzar. Obviously, the Babylonian army included many more nationalities than the Chaldeans, but the identity of the dynasty determined the biblical designation for the Babylonian power.
All right. And I myself, this is the word of the Lord, I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and with a strong arm, even in anger and in fury and in great wrath. You know, all that stuff about God being like loving and kind.
You know, we just went over a portion that wasn't so loving and kind.
No, not even slightly. Here he's just like, I'm angry and furious and with great wrath, and I'm going to kill all of ya.
Wasn't that last week with Steve or something?
Yeah, last week with Steve.
There was a lot of stuff that reminded us of Deuteronomy 18 or whatever. That
Deuteronomy 28, yeah. Because at least according to a holiday, it would have, the text in Jeremiah would be the basis for Deuteronomy 28.
Very good.
I hope so. I hope.
Yeah, now we're back
right
to
about that.
God being a nice guy.
Such a nice guy.
That making people eat each other.
And I will smite the inhabitants of this city, both man and beast. They shall die of a great pestilence.
Exciting.
Yeah. And afterward, saith the Lord, I will deliver Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his servants, and the people, and such as are left in this city from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those that seek their life, and he shall smite them with the edge of the sword. He shall not spare them, neither have pity, nor have mercy. Wow, such a merciful and kind and loving creator deity.
I mean, consider
back to group hugs, guys.
Oh yeah.
Consider, the theology, I guess, of the Jews of the time.
Well,
right?
yeah, something bad's happening to you, that means you deserve it.
Especially, with the whole exile, their whole reasoning was like, hey, we must have done something wrong. Otherwise, our God wouldn't be doing this to us. When traditionally it would have been, well, their God is obviously stronger than our God because we are getting destroyed.
Now, why is there a legal system in Israel or Judah at this point if they believe that, if bad things happen to you, it's because you deserve it?
The whole thing is they completely understand that that people can still make their own choices. They also are under the constraints of some kind of free will.
Yeah, but they also consider being ransacked by a foreign army and delivered into the hands of your enemies as slaves,
right?
As being an act of God.
So I would think that those are big problems, right? That can't be that for, at least for them, it would have required some sort of big divine explanation.
Well, it's
but
really
if
strange, right? Because if you just have an interpersonal issue, a murder or something, then presumably they would also consider that God delivering you into the hands of your enemies.
They easily could, definitely. The line's very vague. It's kind of arbitrary. Although I would also point out that if they believed the king was God's representative on earth, then a legal system would make sense.
That was the argument I was going to make, exactly.
Well, in addition to that, there's various points at which, in the wisdom literature, that they talk about these evil people who are lying in wait to do terrible things.
Yeah, sure.
Right? But with this kind of theology here, it seems as if those people need to exist, right? Because God needs to use them to deliver judgment on people who are deserving of punishment. So why would you stand against those people existing? Why would you advise people not to be that way? If they're going to be that way, then they'll be used by God to punish people who justly deserve punishment.
If you consider who the text is written for, it was written for a certain group of people, not the other groups of people.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's an us-them mentality.
Yeah.
Okay. So these other groups of people, they're NPCs. They don't have free will. They're controlled by God to do these things to people. But if one of us does something terrible, then no, they're totally player character right there. They're responsible for their own actions.
I'd say it's fairly close to that.
That's a little absurd.
It definitely, I mean, the way it's portrayed here, considering it's from one point of view, or at least, one national point of view, I guess. I'm sure you get what I mean. That would make sense. Why would they put the same amount of agency?
Yeah.
I guess, on enemies?
Yeah, I mean, it is almost
from a humanitarian perspective, they done goofed.
Yeah,
but from a historical understanding of it, you're not really worried about the enemy.
Right, and but it's history being written by the victors, you can make the enemy look like whatever you want.
Well,
so,
it's pretty consistent, right? Because in the Exodus story, God takes control over enemies.
Harden Pharaoh's heart.
Yeah. And here he controls these people to deliver the Jews into their hands, right? So it's only the enemies of Israel are people who are under the direct influence of God's decision making, right? It's not like it's not like he goes about controlling the free will of Jews in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
It's quite strange. And unto this people, thou shalt say, thus saith the Lord, Behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He that abideth in the city shall die by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth out and falleth to the Chaldeans that besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be unto him for a prey.
Which verse is that?
That's verse 9. So again, we're returning to this famine and pestilence and war and death, which has been a motif that's popped up several times in Jeremiah now.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's going to be out in the Bible throughout it.
So that was verse 9. Who stays in the city shall die by the sword and by famine and by pestilence, and who goes out and goes over to the Chaldeans besieging you shall live, and his life shall become booty.
Yeah, it's really strange because, in different books,
That's,
like
interesting
Second
translation.
Maccabees, for example, the expectation is that you lay down your life in service of the Lord, right? Here is like, oh yeah, run away
Give up.
if you want to survive.
So here's some interpretation from Holiday. So Jeremiah is commanded to offer to the people in the city a shocking variation on the Old Covenant formula of Deuteronomy 30. But whereas the Old Covenant formula indicated that to choose life meant to obey Yahweh's will, here it is not assumed that Yahweh's will is... it is not assumed that Yahweh's will is that the people survive. Yahweh's will is that the city be destroyed, and if the people wish to survive, it is not in response to an ethical imperative, but to simple prudence. The verb "go out" implies surrender in several other passages as well. The idiom in verse 9, I'm guessing it's the whole, by sword and by famine and by pestilence. Sorry. Never mind, I'm wrong. The idiom literally translated, and he shall have his life as booty.
Yeah, his life shall be unto him for a prey.
Yeah. The expression appears 4 times in Jeremiah and nowhere else in the Old Testament.
Oh.
Older commentators took the phrase at face value that one snatches his life from the enemy as one would any other piece of booty. That's what I would have thought. But more recently, it has become clear that it is an ironic soldier's joke. When a soldier is defeated and escapes, having barely saved his life, he has at least that as booty.
Being
Okay.
alive.
One might say in English, he shall have his life as a bonus.
Yeah, the New King James Version, thanks, Jason, says his life shall be as a prize
The
to him.
prize, all right.
So it's something that's won through their actions. Right?
Yeah, you get to survive. That's your that's your
Well,
bonus.
you know what? That's pretty straightforward. Enemy army is about to invade your city. Leave the city.
And then you win being alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Win being alive.
So the aim here, I like how he starts this one off. What is life?
What is life?
In the old formulation of Deuteronomy 30, it was obedience to Yahweh's will that secured blessing in the land. Now the people here, it is to abandon the city which they had believed Yahweh had chosen for his own name. Of course, we got that a whole bunch. And to go out to exile from that land. Can this be life? What kind of life could this be? Or is Jeremiah simply a traitor?
I think we covered during a different book that the Jews, the first Jews, were the ones who returned from exile into Jerusalem, and that there were others who didn't return from exile but were still in Jerusalem. So this is a lie. Like, if those people were still in Jerusalem, obviously they weren't killed by famine, pestilence, and the sword.
Or at least not all of them.
Right. And it also depends on when this was written specifically.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say this was written, let's say this was, in fact, exilic. Let's go with exilic.
It seems either exilic or post-exilic.
Yeah. So, during the exile, they would go like, this is, everyone here is dying. Like, that would be their experience, right? Probably not everyone. That would be kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, people around here are dying. And this is the experience of one person in one place for Jeremiah, the author.
Yeah.
Let's go with Jeremiah. That's what
Some
we'll say.
dude who might as well be called Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Or lady.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Although I would say it's probably a dude. But
Yeah, probably a dude.
yeah. So, they are very distraught, obviously.
Yes.
So they would, and they have come up with this explanation, this kind of divine reasoning for why this has happened. And they are kind of going with that. And they wouldn't necessarily know what's going on everywhere during the diaspora.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue. For I have set my face against this city for evil and not for good, saith the Lord. It shall be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. So here we have further confirmation that Yahweh commits acts of evil that he recognizes as being evil.
Yes.
Great.
There's really no way, or maybe he thinks this is, maybe he sees it as justified.
What a good diplomat.
Justified evil.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's something you hear a lot.
Would you consider
Yeah, unnecessary
Yahweh
evil.
a good diplomat?
No, no, he just
No.
kills everyone.
Uh-oh.
I would not.
Well.
I would
one
not
question.
consider him a good diplomat.
And touching the house of the king of Judah, say, hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of David. Thus saith the Lord, execute judgment in the morning, and deliver him that is spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my fury go out like fire and burn, that none can quench it because of the evil of your doings. So evil's okay if Yahweh does it, but it's not okay if anyone else does it. Behold,
Behold!
I am against thee, O inhabitant of the valley and rock of the plain, saith the Lord, which say, who shall come down against us, or who shall enter into our habitations?
So I do have one thing on the previous section there for verse 11 and 12, I suppose.
Yeah.
So there are two foci to the capital, the temple and the palace. The assemblage of people at the temple is addressed in the temple sermon in chapter 7. The court of Jehoiakim is addressed here, and in the prose parallel in chapter 22. One hopes for justice both at the temple and in the court. One particularly hopes for justice from the king, who sets the drumbeat for the whole kingdom. The fact that Jeremiah still had hopes for the rendering of justice by Jehoiakim suggests the zenith of the prophet's optimism, but that optimism would soon sour.
But I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings, saith the Lord, and I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it. So now, instead of the deontology that is the basis of the ethics throughout the rest of the Bible, now he's a consequentialist. He's punishing them in accordance with the fruit of their doings and consequence of their actions. Whereas everywhere else in the Bible, they just have specific actions that are laid out as being immoral because
Like high
they're those actions.
or Asherah trees, or
So-
a ball worship, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so there's quite a bit to cover here.
Paul worship.
Yeah.
Well, so this little oracle carries ironic multiple meanings. It implies that Jerusalem has been tempted into her complacency to deify herself, taking on self-descriptions appropriate only to Yahweh. Hold on. Okay, so the address "I am against you" is feminine singular, appropriate, as will become clear, to Jerusalem. He goes over a few of the specific words here. So when you go, what's actually, we totally missed this. So for the word valley, I believe.
Yeah, is that the Valley
Yeah.
of Ben Hinnom?
Yep, that's exactly.
Gehenna.
Well, actually, hold on. It wouldn't. I wouldn't say exactly. So the word means valley, particularly a deep valley. The word was applied to the valleys around Zion, so that the designation, quote, enthroned over the valley, is appropriate to Zion.
And this would also include the Valley of Ben Hinnom, which is
I don't remember
right
exactly
there,
where
right?
that is.
It's not far away.
On the other hand, the word appears sometimes to carry the meaning strength or might, as emek does in Ugaritic. Thus, in Job, he parallels two words there, one of which, or both of them, I guess, meaning might. What is deep may thereby be strong, but the use of a word suggesting strength here, perhaps the way for complacent affirmations of invulnerability in verse 13b. And then he just ends this off with a question: is there any hint here of the wickedness of the Valley of Ben Hinnom?
Well,
Oh, Matthew, that's a good one. You think they burnt their garbage there? That's a good thing. Actually, people did do that back then too. Just what else do you do with your garbage sometimes?
well, they also burnt their children there.
Oh yes, that's right. That was the sacrifice.
As we are told.
Yep. Well, that's the end of chapter 21. If you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with friends, family, neighbors, everyone you've ever met, everyone you ever will meet.
Yes,
I think they deserve to see this.
get to the future.
In fact, it really helps us if people see this, because then they'll see it.
Yeah,
Wow,
and
crazy.
you know what? In accordance with biblical theology, if they see it, obviously they deserve to see it.
And good things will come to them if they see it. Thus saith the Lord.
So,
Yeah, so we're getting
in this new section now.
Yeah, so
This new chapter.
for chapter 22.
There is no commentary on Oh, there is. It's just after the commentary on chapter 24. Great.
Weird.
So let's okay, we're gonna get into a section against the Judean monarchy.
Yeah, it looks like we're coming back to the whole Nebuchadnezzar thing in Jerusalem.
Yeah. So why don't you? Well, I guess I can read a little bit here about this thing's structure. The present passage was inserted secondarily into the sequence of the poems 21:11 through 12, 21:13 through 14, and 22:6 through 7 and beyond. It's easy to see that it was on the basis of the phrases House of David and save him who is robbed from the hand of the oppressor in 21:12, and perhaps the participle sitting enthroned, that's Yoshev.
Okay.
In 21:13, that passage was inserted here. The passage is prose.
Okay, so this is these are inserted within a longer poem,
Mhm.
and we can tell because of the textual markers. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Thus says the Lord, go down to the house of the king of Judah and speak there this word and say, hear the word of the Lord, O king of Judah, who sits on the throne of David. You and your servants and your people who enter these gates. Thus says the Lord.
So this is the whole court being addressed, not just the king.
Okay.
There's no reason to doubt, as Doom does, that it's D-U-H-M. So it's either dumb or doom. I'm saying doom.
Well, you've said dumb before.
Yeah.
The genuineness of the words, you and your servants and your people who enter these gates, the words are repeated with a change of person and number in verse 4, and a similar phrase is found in 36:31. These gates are evidently not general city gates, but gates belonging to the palace itself. We're not well informed, however, regarding the geographic details of the period. One has the impression that the bustle of officials going in and out of the palace, it is they who should hear the appeal to justice.
That would make sense. So this is what the Lord is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess someone saying what the Lord is saying.
Jeremiah is saying what the Lord is saying to say to them.
Thus says the Lord, do justice and righteousness, and deliver from the hand of the oppressor him who has been robbed, and do no wrong or violence to the resident alien, the fatherless, and to the widow, nor shed innocent blood in this place.
So do justice and righteousness. In the ancient Near Eastern polity, it was ultimately the responsibility of the king to administer justice, as the fable of Solomon's judgment piquantly illustrates. Jeremiah, confronting the king, turns from his usual theme of cultic transgressions to raise issues of legal, social, and economic justice. So I guess Alter's interpretation is a little different than Holiday's, where Holiday thinks that this is addressed to the whole court and the people coming in and out of the palace gates, and Alter thinks that this is directly addressed to the king, who's the ultimate administrator of justice.
Yeah, so far I would agree with Alter from what we've read, but maybe my opinion will change. Maybe it's different in Hebrew. For tenses and stuff.
There could be other translations.
Well,
absolutely. It could be aged, and they could have corrupted it.
Yeah.
Misplaced word, misplaced letter, whatever. Move on. Yeah.
So it's interesting how they're mentioning violence to resident aliens. So orphans and widows. That's like very common stuff, right? I guess the resident aliens are also kind of common, but that was more of a later thing, I think.
Also, they've been pretty flippant about them. I've recalled in earlier parts of the Bible where they were like, oh, it's okay that we have some aliens here. And in other parts, it's more like, you can't have them here at all.
Right. So if we go to something like Genesis, if we go back to the Torah, basically, I definitely remember them being more lenient towards...
Like, you couldn't marry them, but you could talk to them, and they could attend things if they made sacrifices or they gave homage or something. I remember they could participate somewhat.
It all changed depending on the time period and the author and stuff.
I felt like they were more comfortable with the Greeks at one point.
Yeah, but that was
helped. And that was a bad thing.
And then it was bad that happened. Yeah.
So this verse 3. Not only is the wording of verse 3 similar to that of 7:3-7, but the form is identical for both covenant speech. There is a contrast between the form of the two passages as well. 7:3-7 offers only the positive covenant condition, while verses 4-5 here offer both positive and negative conditions. Thus, it appears that one is in the context of genuine prophetic proclamation, not redaction. That's according to Holiday.
For if you will indeed obey this word, then there shall enter the gates of this house kings who sit on the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their servants and their people. So, good prophecy there. You're gonna have a whole bunch of stuff. Right, you're going to just go watch the Heavenly Horseman video for more context on that one.
Yeah, right now. No, not now. Later.
Watch it later, but basically, this is it's a symbol of power, of domination.
When some foreign king comes in, murders everyone, and sits on your throne.
No, this says if you will obey this word.
If you will obey this word, what verse is that?
4.
Verse 4. If you do this thing, kings in the line of David sitting in this throne shall enter the gates of the house riding chariots. And
so it's a positive thing.
Okay, so that they'll return to the dynastic promise that was given.
Quite rare that chariots are a good thing.
Quite rare.
Yeah. It's I guess it's kind of a love-hate relationship. I would call it. Yeah. So anyways, but if you will not obey these words, I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that this house shall become a desolation. For thus says the Lord concerning the house of the king of Judah, You are like Gilead to me, like the summit of Lebanon.
Both places are on heights with luxuriant growth. The idea is that for God, Israel, or the land of Israel, it was a proud and fruitful place, but now it'll be turned into a desert. Holiday says about the section that we're going into, that just these two verses here, 6 and 7, that the poem is linked to 21:13 through 14 by the words cedars and fire in verse 7, given fire in her forest in 21:14. The poem consists of 4 bicolor and a chiastic pattern. So this is a poetry section, whereas the previous 6 verses were prose.
Yet surely I will make you a desert, an uninhabited city. So obviously drawing the contrast to those other things that are cities. I will prepare destroyers against you, each with his weapons, and they shall cut down your choicest cedars and cast them into the fire.
So this is what happened to the cedars of Lebanon. Here we are.
So commission or summon or whatever is literally consecrate. It's the same verb translated prepare for battle in 6:4. Here Yahweh is using holy war phraseology against his own people. Yahweh's possession has been stressed by to me in verse 6. For destroyers, compare 4:7, 5:26, where the word appears in the singular. You remember the destroyer.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so that's, that's
where we're at?
Related. It refers to the Babylonian destruction.
Let's see. And many nations will pass by this city, and every man will say to his neighbor, why has the Lord dealt thus with this great city? And they will answer, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord their God and worshipped other gods and served them.
So there is a striking extra-biblical parallel. A narration in the annals of Ashur-banipal, often quoted, quote, whenever the inhabitants of Arabia asked each other, on account of what have these calamities befallen Arabia? They answered themselves, because we did not keep the solemn oaths sworn by Ashur, because we offended the friendliness of Ashur-banipal, the king beloved by Enlil. End quote.
Ooh.
So maybe that's a jab at the alienization of the people here. The Enlil stuff is Babylonian, ostensibly.
Yeah.
And so these people are already foreigners in their own gates, is what they're getting at, maybe through that choice of language.
Yeah, that would make sense. Although another possibility, I don't know. Actually, that was a pretty good one. I like that one. I could see a couple other possibilities, but I do like that one. As kind of a jab. Yeah.
Cool.
Weep not for him who is dead, nor grieve for him, but weep bitterly for him who goes away, for he shall return no more to see his native land. Well, and then along came Cyrus.
Yeah. Along came Cyrus.
Yeah.
Sat down beside us.
And here is the next section coming up here. This one's broken off.
The Masoretic text shows do not weep for a dead man, but that vocalization is almost universally corrected to yield the dead. The particular dead person here, according to long-standing scholarly consensus, is Josiah, who was killed by Pharaoh Necho at Megiddo in 609 BCE. One should not keen for him because his fate of death is not so dire as the fate of his son Shalom, more commonly called Jehoahaz, who was placed on the throne by Necho.
Renamed,
So he was placed on the throne by Necho after his father's death, reigned only scant months, and then was sent down to Egypt as a prisoner.
Yeah.
Thus, Shalom Jehoahaz is the one who goes, never again to see the land of his birth.
That's very interesting. For thus says the Lord concerning Shalom, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, who reigned instead of Josiah his father, and who went away from this place. He shall return here no more, but in the place where they have carried him captive, there shall he die, and he shall never see this land again. So, pretty much going over what we just went over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Woe to him who builds his house by unrighteousness and his upper rooms by injustice, who makes his neighbors serve him for nothing and does not give him wages, who says, I will build myself a great house with spacious upper rooms, who cuts out windows for it, paneling it with cedar and painting it with vermilion.
So this house, more literally a house of great measure. In the story of the spies in Numbers, the Canaanites, perceived as giants, are called literally in the Hebrew men of measure. For my windows, many correct this to his windows because the verb attached to it is in the third person singular, but the received text actually makes sense. The grandiose king is still speaking, and the third person verb serves as the equivalent of a passive. My windows are broken open for it.
Yeah, so it looks like, they are talking about you are becoming a part of this heathenistic culture.
Mm-hmm.
And you are building your home with not only nearby it, but with, I'm guessing, heathenistic things, because you have cedar, for example, maybe a Lebanon thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And vermilion, I don't know where that one comes in, but I'm guessing it's
Maybe it comes from Gilead.
maybe that's possible. I have no idea. But yeah, the point is that they are they do bad. This is not good. Do you think you are a king because you compete in cedar? Did not your father eat and drink and do justice and righteousness? Then it was well with him. He judged the cause of the poor and needy. Then it was well.
So this is the only instance of ani, not ani as in I, but ani as in poor in Jeremiah. It forms a hendiatus with evyon, needy, and there's no way to distinguish the terms. So that's a little unique in the book.
And I also want to point out that we know what vermilion is, but I don't know if the color was associated with a specific place.
It could be like a flag or something.
What?
Yeah, it could have been the color of a flag.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been just a very common paint used in some other area. So I wasn't really sure what place that would have been referring to, if any.
Yeah.
Kind of a hint at, I guess.
It doesn't really say anything of the sort in any of these commentaries, but it could hint at a place. It could hint at an image, a banner, a meme.
A meme.
Yeah. Favorites of theirs, memes. So he judged the cause of the poor and needy, then it was well. Is not this to know me, declares the Lord? Because you have eyes and heart only for your dishonest gain, for shedding innocent blood, and for practicing oppression and violence. Oh, he's railing on him. Therefore, thus says the Lord concerning Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. Okay, so the first one, right, was to Shalom, and this one is to another son.
Tell me when you finish this verse.
Okay. They shall not lament for him, saying, "Ah, my brother," or "Ah, sister." They shall not lament for him, saying, "Ah, Lord," or His Majesty.
So, one would assume that my brother refers to the dead king, so evidently in 1 Kings 13:30. But when one is confronted by sister, one must assume either a more curious sort of parallelism that cannot be taken literally, or that brother and sister are the address of mourners to each other. Perhaps because of the feminine reference here, Greek has only the first and third elements. They shall not lament him, alas, brother, nor shall they weep for him, ah, Lord. The Vulgate has 4 elements, though the second is brothers. Jerome, in his commentary, however, uses sister. Syriac has 4, but the second repeats the first, and the fourth repeats the third. Clearly, then, Masoretic, in reading sister, offers a lectio difficilima. Dahoud has a convincing solution, an emendation of the fourth element, and the background of Phoenician royal inscriptions. As to the fourth element, he amends it to lady, literally she who conceives, feminine like the second. He further suggests that Lord and Lady here stand for father and mother, and this is doubtless true. But the double meaning by which Lord may stand for king as well as father is surely present. The key to the diction here, however, is to be found in Phoenician royal inscriptions. In one, King Azitawada states, Baal made me a father and mother to the Dananians. And in another, King Kilamua states, I, however, to some I was a father, and to some I was a mother, and to some I was a brother. Here, then, is traditional language by which the king is said to fulfill the roles of all family members, and therefore the and in the expressions could well be a part of the quotation in question, rather than to link two separate quotations. One may assume, furthermore, that the possessive suffix on brother does double duty for sister as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So those are all, those are all titles in and of themselves.
Yeah, and there's also to burn.
So he would be the brother and sister and the father and mother, basically.
Yeah.
Yo, he's your family, the whole thing.
I don't see where they're getting this other section, but apparently it's in there somewhere that there's something for to burn spices. Maybe that's specifically in the Hermenia translation. Let me check here.
And that's also for verse 18?
Yes, for verse 18 here. 18. Therefore, thus Yahweh has said of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, woe to this man, they shall not lament him, alas, my brother, and alas, my sister. They shall not burn spices for him, alas, Lord, and alas, lady. So they comment here, holiday comment.
Yeah, because I have they shall not lament for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the emendation, burn spices, the ordinary verb for burn implies in 34:5, and here by the emendation proposed, some funerary rite. But what's burned is not stated. Greek and the Vulgate both offer here a verb parallel to lament, but Greek renders simply this Greek word that means weep or lament, while the Vulgate offers curiously concrepare, rattle, sound loudly, a reference to some other customary behavior in lamentation. The Talmud states that it was custom to make a funeral pyre of the bed and other articles as a mark of honor to a deceased king. There is a record in 2 Chronicles 16:14 of such a ceremony for King Asa, which included the burning of spices. The parenthetical inclusion of spices is therefore appropriate.
Okay, interesting. So that would be part of the lamentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see. All right. With the burial of a donkey, he shall be buried, dragged and dumped beyond the gates of Jerusalem. So,
Yeah, this
Honorable.
prophecy.
forget about it.
This prophecy conflicts with the report in 2 Kings 24:6 that Jehoiakim lay with his fathers, an expression that indicates burial in the ancestral tomb. Either this is an unfulfilled prophecy, or there's something wrong with the notation in 2 Kings. Jehoiakim died at the time of the Babylonian siege in 598 to 597 BCE, but how he died is uncertain. Some have conjectured that he was assassinated in a palace coup. But yeah, so this is a contradiction.
Yeah.
You want contradictions in the Bible? Go
And-
to Jeremiah 22:19 and 2 Kings 24:6.
So that's very interesting how that's changed. I don't know if so they would probably be from two separate traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's straight up. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally remember him being brought back after the battle and being buried with his fathers.
He
was honored.
because everyone should be buried with their fathers, right? That's the whole point.
That's at least honorable. If you've screwed up majorly and you never figured out how to fix that, they don't do that.
Yeah, and because I see so many. If you go on like is it FFRF, that website? Freedom from Religion, that one.
The Freedom from Religion Foundation.
Yeah.
Where Ronald Reagan goes on the commercials. Yeah, this guy. So
Okay, I don't know about that.
So
but
when I was watching the presidential primary and the actual presidential debates, every single commercial break, there was this dude who came up and was like, "I'm Ronald Reagan of the Freedom from Religion Foundation." And then at the end of the commercial, he's like, "I'm Ronald Reagan." I think it was Ronald Reagan. It was like some president's name. I'm pretty sure it was Ronald Reagan. Not the actual Ronald Reagan, but
Right.
just a dude
Obviously.
who has the same name. And then he's like, ends the commercial with like, "I'm not afraid of burning in hell."
okay.
Damn.
Okay, so on to what I wanted to say
Okay.
before whatever the hell that was. So for like websites like FRF, and I think there are plenty others, they give you lists of like biblical contradictions, but it's the most like asinine things that like, sorry, you got to read it in context. Like there are biblical contradictions, but you are just making yourselves look like fucking idiots. Like there's like this one is like straight up, here's a contradiction.
Right.
And you can have like an explanation, like there would be an explanation for this, right? There is a reason that it's written like this. There's a reason the author of Jeremiah had it like this, and there's a reason that the Deuteronomist would have had it
Missing
like
the
that.
nuance context.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of weasel wording going on here in the holiday commentary. So I want to cover this. The question of how Jehoiakim finally did die is relevant to the question of the nature of the curse. Weiser suggests that the verse be taken literally to mean that Nebuchadnezzar, at the conquest of Jerusalem, had the grave of his faithless vassal violated. But even though Assyrian and Babylonian kings more than once did disinter the bones of disobedient vassals, disinterment is not an issue here. Jeremiah speaks of a lack of burial. The question still remains whether the curse came to pass, a question raised as early as Jerome. The historical data are incomplete. One reads in 2 Kings 24:6 that Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, but nothing there is said about his burial. Compare the notice of the death in Manasseh, and Manasseh slept with his fathers and was buried in the garden of his house, 2 Kings 21:18. One reads in 2 Chronicles 36:6 that Nebuchadnezzar bound Jehoiakim in fetters to take him to Babylon, but nothing is said there of his death and burial.
Sure.
If the notice in 2 Chronicles is historical, what were the circumstances? Given the fact that Jehoiakim reigned 3 months before the fall of the city. Graf suggested long ago that bound him in fetters to take him to Babylon originally applied to Jehoiachin, and the phrase was transferred to Jehoiakim. Could
Which I
such a
remember-
transference have taken place precisely under the influence of the present verse in Jeremiah? The section of Second Chronicles is concerned that the word of Yahweh to Jeremiah be fulfilled. Second Chronicles 36:21 through 22. But both textual and historical questions are raised by Second Chronicles 36:6, over which one cannot linger here. In any event, the power of the present verse is its utterance, not its literal fulfillment. So that's kind of weasel wordy.
Yeah, a little bit. So I mean, I like that is interesting. I kind of see, another possibility for that. But yeah, as it reads, it is,
Yeah.
it's an issue there. And I guess he even noted that it was noticed by Jerome.
Yeah.
As early as Jerome. That's incredible. All right. So where even was I? Right. Okay. So
Verse 20.
Yeah, verse 20. Go up to Lebanon and cry out and lift up your voice in Bashan. Cry out from Abarim, for all your lovers are destroyed.
So these are all mountainous regions, hence the aptly situated lofty places from which to cry out.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to you in your prosperity, but you said, I will not listen.
So what's the implication of lamenting on the mountains? Is there here a quiet reminiscence of the tragedy of Jephthah's daughter? See Judges 11:37 through 38.
I feel like that's a stretch, but okay.
What was the significance of mountains in the narrative of Jephthah's daughter? Is it simply remoteness from community life? Compare Jeremiah 3:21. Or is there some custom existing prior to the incident of Jephthah's daughter of lamenting on the mountains, of which we are unaware?
A lot of local cultures and times. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see. So, I will not listen. This has been your way from your youth, that you have not obeyed my voice. The wind shall shepherd all your shepherds, and your lovers shall go into captivity.
So this reverses the repeated idiom for futility in Kohelet, herding the wind. Here, the wind does the herding, and the shepherds are the rulers of the people.
And it's interesting how they have, so for all your lovers are destroyed, and also, and your lovers shall go into captivity.
Yeah. Alter notes that lovers is false allies.
Well, yeah, I figured it would have been like a polemical kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking maybe like, foreign gods or something like that.
Mm. There's
Because like there's that whole thing in Hosea about kissing calf idols.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah, I was figuring maybe it's something along those lines.
There's a question as to whether the shepherds are identical with the lovers or they're a separate category. It's not clear.
Yeah. Then you will be ashamed and confounded because of all your evil. Oh, inhabitant of Lebanon, nested among the cedars, how will you be pitted when pangs come upon you? Pain as of a woman in labor. Of course, once again, birth pangs, very common. Very common idiom, I guess.
Yes. Because it's incredibly painful.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, they didn't throw around words like kidney stones or urinary tract infection, which are
Right. This is
painful. So they picked the most painful thing they could think of.
Yeah. As I live, declares the Lord, though Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet ring on my right hand, yet I would tear you off and give you into the hand of those who seek your life, into the hand of those of whom you are afraid, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans.
So this Coniah is a shortened form of Jeconiah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, it's clear that Coniah refers to Jehoiachin.
Yeah.
An extended form of this name is Jeconiah. The form Coniah appears beyond the present verse only in verse 28 and in 37:1. Though it's unusual to surmise that Jeconiah was his given name and that Jehoiachin his throne name, this is by no means assured. Honeyman simply suggests that the custom of taking a throne name might play a part in the variant of his name.
You know, since there is this this specific distinction right here, either that would bring, either I would have to, know more about the textual history of it, or the confusion, the possibility of confusion with the two names, Jehoiakim and Jehoiakin, earlier on that was suggested by Holiday, would just be really strange to see here.
Yeah, there's no easy way to figure it out.
Yeah.
So they just kind of note it.
Fair enough. I will hurl you and the mother who bore you into another country where you were not born, and there you shall die. But to the land to which they will long to return, there they shall not return. Okay, so this is, it's in like the exact same vein of the stuff we heard before. And he's talking to Jehoiakim here, right?
Yeah, presumably.
Yeah, because that's.
I mean, he's at the gates of the palace.
Sorry, hold on.
Right? Jeremiah is. He's at the gates of the
Or
palace.
is this
and he's delivering
Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim?
It could be.
Okay, so maybe it's to
where does it say
Jehoiakim, right? So as I live, declares the Lord, though Coniah, the son. Oh, this is such a weird sentence.
What verse is that?
24. I'm starting at 24.
24. As I live, said the Lord. This is Alter's version.
Okay.
Should you, Coniah, son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, be a seal on my right hand, from there would I tear you away.
Oh, okay. Okay, so wait.
This is calling back to the signet ring.
Right. And okay, so he is talking to Coniah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. I'm sure there's a very interesting textual history there.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. All right. So anyways, he's really mad. Is this man Coniah a despised broken pot, a vessel no one cares for? Why are he and his children hurled and cast into a land that they do not know? Wait, wasn't it just explained?
This is a new section. It's a poetry section.
Well, yeah, it is a new section. But it was also pretty much just explained.
Right.
Unless this is supposed to be rhetorical. Or this is a continuation of
So Masoretic
poem.
reads like that, but Greek reads Jeconiah is dishonored like a vessel in which there is no use, for he is hurled and thrown away to a land which he has not known. So there's differences between versions.
Okay.
Some of them may make a little more sense.
You know what? I would agree. So then continuing on here. Oh, land, hear the word of the Lord. I'm guessing this is, kind of in the same vein as, I forget which book it was, but, he was like calling to the mountains and stuff, and the trees were singing, right? Like there was a whole bunch of...
Well, verse 29 is a summons to the land to pay attention.
There you go.
Harriman suggests that the threefold repetition of land is reminiscent of a Babylonian oath form. The words of verse 30 are Yahweh's judgment proper.
You know what? I guess, yeah, verse 30 it is. Thus says the Lord, write this man down as childless, a man who shall not succeed in his days, for none of his offspring shall succeed in sitting on the throne of David and ruling again in Judah.
So, according to other sources, Coniah had several sons, but the point appears to be that he's as good as childless because none of his sons will inherit the throne.
Yeah, although you would expect God to be a little bit more clear on that, but I guess not. So... yeah, this is the destruction of the Davidic promise, the dynastic promise.
Right, which is
Yeah.
something that he said he would make good on if they perform certain behaviors earlier on in the chapter.
Right, and they didn't, and then he's like, nope, none of that, not anymore. Done trying, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like, official onto that. So that's the end of the chapter.
Wow, do you...
No, I don't hear anything yet. But
I
it's,
gotta use the bathroom, man.
wait,
We
hold.
better hear something soon.
Okay, well, just relax. Okay,
Well,
will.
when's the last time you heard something?
The last time I heard something was not that long ago, but I think that I am in fact hearing something now, and it's very scary and new.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Oh my God! Reuben has disappeared. He didn't go to the bathroom. That was a lie. He has in fact disappeared. Jesus has taken him away. There's really not much we can do at this point. We have to hope that Jesus returns him back safely.
It's his turn to read.
And we hope Jesus understands this, that we are trying to run a show here. I don't think Jesus is so impolite that he would just take away a co-host like that. That would be rude. And speaking of not being rude, Jesus wasn't rude. He, in fact, brought back Reuben.
Wow. Is it a co-host or a co-holet host?
Nice try.
Yeah.
You gave it a shot.
I can... Not much you can do with
Enoch
that.
even funny.
This is the genesis of our comedy skit.
Deuteronomy to this to me.
What?
Do not do this to me. I'm trying.
Let's return to our chronicles.
Yeah.
So, chapter 23.
And hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream so far,
He already did that for us.
I know, but also like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Thanks.
Share it around. Okay.
Okay. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Isn't that you?
What
Is
have
it me?
you?
I mean, yes,
No,
he
no,
kind
I-
of does a little bit.
This is his decision.
Yeah, they kind of is. Let's face it. So, some commentators deal with verses 1 through 8 as a unit, but there are surely 3 units here. Verses 7 through 8 are a passage duplicated in 16, 14 through 15. Verses 1 through 4 deal in general with irresponsible shepherds, while verses 5 through 6 deal with a specific future king whose name is a play on that of Zedekiah, except for the word I appoint. There is no duplication of vocabulary between the two sequences. There's no way to be sure whether verses 1 through 4 and 5 through 6 were added to chapter 22 as a unit or whether they were added separately. If they were added separately, verses 1 through 4 are appropriately added to the general array in chapter 22 regarding the kings of Judah, in particular the double use of shepherd in verses 2 and 4.
Which I'll get to.
Yeah, that can be linked to the similar double use of the root in 22:22.
All right. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them.
Behold!
Behold.
I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord. And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord.
Yeah, so
That's
of
a
course,
huge 180 from everything that we've read today so far.
so he's setting himself up as a shepherd in contrast to the bad shepherds in verse 1.
Those who are leading the people away from,
Yes.
behold.
Behold!
Hold that B for me.
Okay. The day is come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch. Branch is capitalized here.
Yes, a righteous shoot. This phrase has currency as an epithet for the legitimate monarch, not only in the Bible, but in the Ugaritic literature before it.
And a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth.
Classic.
In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name, whereby he shall be called the Lord our righteousness.
So the Hebrew is Yahweh Sidkenu, which is not a great name. Let's face it.
Okay.
So let's see. Going to the name. I'm gonna try to find some stuff on that.
Find his name.
You know what? I'm going to give it a shot. This is that's quite a bit. So that's what, verse 6?
That's verse 6, right at the end there.
And now the name of the king to come. In the Greek, it is given as Josedek or Iosedek, which simply reverses the elements of the name Zedekiah. The reading of the Masoretic, however, is surely it's surely Yahweh Sidkenu. Literally, Yahweh is our righteousness. It is clear that a play is intended on the name Zedekiah, because Zedekiah is Sidkiyahu, and Yahu being a another form of the word Yahweh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also is included in there.
Das gut, ja.
But most easily as either Yahweh is righteousness or Yahweh is my righteousness. The implications of the wordplay, however, are to some degree obscure.
Well, the implication is that this person is a good
Righteous.
representative of Yahweh who leads them properly.
That is definitely on the face of it, I agree. One assumes that Jeremiah intends the new name to imply some kind of reversal of the old one. Is the opposition simply that the two elements of the name are in reverse order? But simple reversal of the two elements of royal names are known elsewhere. Oh, so they list the Coniah and Jehoiakim thing, for example. Jehoahaz and Ahaziah. So there are others apparently. Without any overt implication of the reversal of character or fortune. The narrative in 2 Kings 24:17 states that the king's original name was Metahiah, evidently gift of Yahweh, and that Nebuchadnezzar changed it to Zedekiah. If the narrative is trustworthy, it suggests that the Babylonian king, in sponsoring this name change, gives evidence of a respect for Jewish traditions. Certainly, the name had been current earlier in Israelite history. The question then becomes, if Metaniah was understood as gift of Yahweh, was Zedekiah understood as legitimacy of Yahweh? That is to say, Metaniah is best understood as a descriptive name, a designation descriptive of the bearer. The man himself is a gift from Yahweh. By analogy, then the name Zedekiah should be understood descriptively. Of course. Yeah. This understanding makes it different from the normal understanding of the name as theophoric, that is, an affirmation about Yahweh, unrelated to the bearer. Oh yeah, like they have a whole lot of those, like basically stuff that says Yahweh is good, right? Like that's their name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Therefore, Behold,
Behold!
Behold.
the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine hath overcome because of the Lord and because of the words of his holiness. This is Jeremiah speaking, probably.
Yeah, so a few things here. So back to the phrase land of the north. So, of course, we've seen that a whole bunch of times throughout
The generic invaders.
Yes, but here is a nice parallel to land of Egypt. And then the phrase, and from all the lands where he has chased them, breaks the parallelism and injects the alien note that Yahweh will reverse his punishment. I don't know. It seems like a lot of steps there he's taken.
Yeah. So
the point of the utterance is that there will be a new Exodus.
yeah, and actually one that's more significant than the original Exodus.
I would say so.
Which presumably would put Zedekiah at the same level as Moses, right?
I mean, does he part
If
the
he
waters?
is the one that's like leading it.
Yeah, so if we view this as a sign that something like the Exodus occurs, then that could be returning to the promise at the end of the Torah that a prophet like Moses would appear.
Fair enough. Oh, hold on. But no, hold on. Didn't they say that there would never be a prophet like Moses?
That might have been
No,
that.
there's
I think
several promises for a prophet like Moses.
Or am I thinking of a different verse?
I think you're thinking of a different verse because I'm pretty sure that's like of major, theological import to some people's interpretation.
Well,
of
yeah,
Jesus.
absolutely.
Right. I'm just checking to see if there's
Because
right
I was
at the end of Deuteronomy.
pretty sure there would never be another one like Jesus. Sorry, not like Jesus. Like
right.
Moses.
It says, and there arose not a prophet since in Israel
Okay.
like unto Moses.
Okay, gotcha.
Whom the Lord knew face to face.
Well, there
Okay.
we have it.
Yeah.
They
So
specified.
that's Israel, man. And this is Judah.
Gotcha.
Okay. So where was I? Here I was. Yeah, he's shaking, he's freaking out. For the land is full of adulterers. For because of swearing the land mourneth. The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their force is not right. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith the Lord. This is the temple. Wherefore their ways shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein. For I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, saith the Lord. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria.
Did they visit in 2020? Because this year has been not great.
Well, that was last year.
And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied to Baal and caused my people Israel to err. I have seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem a horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none doth return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom, and the inhabitants thereof as Gomorrah. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts concerning the prophets, Behold!
Behold!
I will feed them with wormwood and make them drink the water of gall. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth unto all the land. You know that gall? That's kind of returning to the medicinal stuff like in Tobit that we just read, where the fish gallbladder is used
Right.
in order to cure illness.
I'm going to feed them with wormwood and give them poisoned water to drink. For from the prophets of Jerusalem, sacrilege has gone out of the whole land. So of course the reference there earlier to Samaria, being that would have been the capital of Israel. So all the the Baal worship that's going on would make sense, considering it was a very syncretic religion for the time.
And it's profane. It's terrible.
So the setting for this passage cannot be other than that for verses 9 through 12, for the two passages are parallel in theme and wording. One notes the parallel of adultery and evildoers in verse 14, compare adulterers and the reconstructed evildoers in verse 10. The root sacrilege in verse 15, compare verse 11. One notes, too, the use of something horrible in both verse 14 and 5:30. So
it's bad stuff.
Yeah.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of the Lord. They say still unto them that despise me, the Lord hath said, ye shall have peace. And they say unto every one that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. For who hath stood in the counsel of the Lord, and hath perceived and heard his word? Who hath marked his word and heard it? Behold!
Behold!
A whirlwind of the Lord is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of the Lord shall not return until he have executed, and till he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it perfectly. I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood on my counsel, and they had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doings. Am I a God at hand, saith the Lord, and not a God afar off? Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him, saith the Lord? Do not I fill heaven and earth, saith the Lord? I have heard what the prophets said. That prophecy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. But how long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophecy lies?
Hold on. So the heavens and the earth do I not fill? So God's presence is everywhere, of course.
Yeah, omnipotence.
Yeah. In the faraway sky, but also throughout the earth. No hiding. There's no hiding from him, apparently. So I have dreamed a dream. Dream interpretation would have been a common vehicle for these popular prophets, although dreams sometimes figure in the Bible as an instrument of authentic revelation of future events, as in the Joseph story. The classical prophets, depending on the word of the Lord that they repeatedly hear, do not have recourse to dreams. And I remember there was a verse, I think it was in Isaiah, right, about how dreams were not an authentic way of doing it.
Right.
Well,
Was it in Isaiah or what?
There was a verse prior to that. I forget where it was, where it says
I might be mixing it up.
There are two ways that God communicates to people: one through dreams, and two through the wind. Right. That was
there's
what
also
was
this. There was a line that said that I think it was in the Joseph narrative that God can give dreams to people that are not prophetic and dreams that are prophetic.
So more on that one specifically. Now, of course, in the Joseph story, he could interpret dreams. That worked. That worked for him. But on kind of false visions, that stuff was given right to the prophets of Baal, I think.
Right, and
yeah.
Of course, they get put to death for having visions that they thought were from God that weren't.
Well, they were from God.
A different God. False visions.
No, they were
Right.
fake
Baal.
visions.
Actually, if they're false visions from Baal, doesn't that...
No, they would be
guarantee-
false visions from Yahweh.
Who knows?
Yeah, he's dicking with him.
Well, why... He has a commandment that says that they should be put to death if they give false prophecy, and then he sends them false visions. What a great
So he
guy.
sent them
Well,
to death.
yeah.
Yes, he's done worse.
Oh, I'll just kill these guys here. Anyway. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophecy lies? Yea, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart, which thinks to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. The prophet that hath a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that hath my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat, saith the Lord? Is not my word like as a fire, saith the Lord, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that use their tongues and say, he saith. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith the Lord, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, saith the Lord. So in this verse, we have confirmation that there are dreams that God does not send. Thank you, poor critter.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely.
Yes, that is going towards our 666 donation drive.
Yeah,
if you'd like to donate to Baal here.
Our calf idol has broken, sadly.
It has fallen atop the Holy Scriptures. Behold. But once we hit $666 in donations, we'll be getting a thetan meter. We'll be talking about Scientology. We'll see who the most clear is, and we'll be taking it apart and manipulating it. So,
Thanks
hopefully,
for helping us out.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
yeah, hopefully once we get there, you all enjoy it. Anyways, why don't we continue with lots of beholds today?
Yeah, loving it.
And when this people, or the prophet, or a priest shall ask thee, saying, what is the burden of the Lord? Thou shalt then say unto them, what burden? I will even forsake you, saith the Lord. And as for the prophet and the priest and the people that shall say the burden of the Lord, I will punish that man and his house. Thus shall ye say, every one to his neighbor, and every one to his brother, what hath the Lord answered? And what hath the Lord spoken? And the burden of the Lord shall ye mention no more. For every man's word shall be his burden. For ye have perverted the words of the living God, of the Lord of hosts our God. Thus shalt thou say to the prophet, what hath the Lord answered thee? And what hath the Lord spoken? But since ye say, the burden of the Lord, therefore thus saith the Lord, because ye say this word, the burden of the Lord, and I sent unto you, saying, ye shall not say, the burden of the Lord. Therefore, behold, I, even I, will utterly forget you, and I will forsake you, and the city that I gave you and your fathers, and cast you out of my presence, and I will bring an everlasting reproach upon you, and a perpetual shame, which shall not be forgotten.
So before we continue on to the last chapter for the day, because we have one more to do for today.
Yeah, what's up with all of this, like,
burden
the
of
burden of the Lord stuff?
So the Hebrew masa, burden, has two meanings. Burden, portent, or content of a prophecy, and a load to be carried. The passage will play these two meanings against the other. But it is clear that in the question posed in this verse, burden is used in a prophetic sense. So you are the burden. The Masoretic text reads et mamasa, which yields something unintelligible. Accusative participle, what burden? A simple redistribution of consonants produces atem hamasa, you are the burden, and this reading is confirmed by the Septuagint and the Vulgate. The question about the burden of prophecy, then, in the mouths of the followers of false prophets is turned back against them in a response that stigmatizes them as the real burden. So continuing on here, the mouthing of the phrase, but the burden of the Lord, but the burden of the Lord you shall no longer mention. So the mouthing of this phrase about prophetic revelation when there is no revelation is an odious act, and the very phrase should be banned. There is no real prophetic burden, only each man's word that he has invented as pseudo-prophecy. Well, you know what? Here's a good case of, in my view, self-awareness. Let's see. I will surely lift you as a burden. The Masoretic text has nashiti nasho, which would mean I will surely forget you. But some Hebrew manuscripts, as well as two versions of the Septuagint and the Vulgate, read nasati naso, I will surely lift you. It is definitely in accord with Jeremiah's style to insist on this already repeated verbal stem inscribed in the word for burden. We've seen a whole bunch of repetitions from Jeremiah. So here turning it into an expression of measure for measure justice. Yeah, so that's some stuff on the burden of the Lord. Basically, it's not a burden if you have the words or the Lord's actual words.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say the words actual Lords, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Actual Lords.
All right. Hey, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, neighbors, everyone you've ever known in your life.
And the thing is,
the bit from Eerdmans,
absolutely,
it's a few paragraphs long after we finish the chapter.
Okay, because the chapter is super short, and also, dropping a like actually does help us, because the more viewer engagement we have, whether it be likes or shares or
dislikes
or in the
shares
or in the chat or something like that, the more viewer engagement there is, the more we pop up in suggested feeds. So it does help us.
We need your help.
Yes,
Seriously.
We couldn't be here without you.
Yeah,
help us.
Do you want help?
I don't.
Do you need
I don't
help?
think you want help.
So on to chapter 24. Very short chapter, but this is
How
in
many
the
verses?
10.
Well, that's pretty short.
Yeah. So I would say that this is, in the same vein as the other kind of stories that we've, the other kind of allegories that we've seen throughout Jeremiah. All right. After Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had taken into exile from Jerusalem Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim.
So this takes place in 597 BCE, a decade before the final destruction of Jerusalem. This Jeconiah, it
would be the
unique
Coniah,
spelling of Jehoiakim's name, unique in the Old Testament, but the form of the name varies greatly beyond Coniah. So this is still the same king that we are getting references to, that we've been getting references to throughout.
Okay. Just multiple names, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. That's not confusing at all. The son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, together with the officials of Judah, the craftsmen and the metalworkers, and had brought them to Babylon. I don't know. Do you think... I think Enoch would have an issue with these metalworkers.
Oh, yeah, those damn metalworkers.
Yeah.
Just practicing those evil angelic knowledges that were...
Horrible.
Right.
Yeah, and had brought them to Babylon. The Lord showed me this vision. Behold! 2 baskets of figs placed before the temple of the Lord. One basket had very good figs, like first ripe figs, but the other basket had very bad figs, so bad that they could not be eaten.
So the early figs are prized precisely because they appear early in the season. Fig trees bear 2 crops. The first on the previous year's branches, appears even before the new leaves sprout and ripens in late May or early June, while the second on new wood ripens in August or September.
And
That's
also,
cool.
I would guess this is a root for Jesus' whole fig tree thing. And the Lord said to me, "What do you see, Jeremiah?" And I said, "Figs, the good figs." Wait, hold on. Figs, the good figs, very good, and the bad figs, very bad.
Yeah.
So bad that they cannot be eaten. They are rotten.
So, what do you see, Jeremiah, is God's formulaic question after he has shown a vision to a prophet.
Absolutely. Then the word of the Lord came to me. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, like these good figs, so I will regard as good the exiles from Judah, whom I have sent away from this place to the land of the Chaldeans. You know,
Yeah, so
This-
whom I sent away from this place to the land of the Chaldeans is probably a gloss.
okay. Well, okay, that would make sense. But also, we were just told earlier, like, I get this would be like a later insertion, I'm guessing, the passage in general.
I'm looking under the different parts of it.
Okay.
It says that there's a textual note. What verse is that?
Oh, this is,
Verse 5?
yes, this is verse 5. But I would say that the chapter itself would be, at least from what I can tell, the chapter itself would be a insertion because it seems deliberately different from the context because we have Yahweh being, very angry with his people because of what they did, and he has, sent these armies to take them away and stuff like that.
So this bit on the Chaldeans, it interrupts the semantic flow, which is why Holiday
It would be a
says
later
that
gloss.
It's a gloss.
Sure, but that's just the part about the Chaldeans.
Mhm.
Okay, I was talking about the whole chapter, but all right.
It's conceivable that this passage originally followed 22:30. The focus of 22:24 through 27 is Jehoiachin and his mother, and that of 22:28 through 30 is Jehoiachin and his sons.
Okay.
This passage, dealing with the ultimate fate of the other members of the first deportation, could logically follow. If this is the case, then 23:1 through 4, 23:5 through 6, and the collection of the false prophets in 23:9 through 40 would have been inserted in such a way as to separate the present passage from its original association. The internal structure of the passage is a function of its form. It is a more elaborate example of a vision report than either 1:11 through 12 or 1:13 through 16.
Sure.
The segments of this form are set forth by Long. 1. The announcement of the vision, thus Yahweh showed me. 2. The transition. 3. The vision proper. A. The image, 2 baskets of figs, plus all of verse 2. B. The question by Yahweh, what do you see, Jeremiah? C. The prophet's answer, the rest of verse 3. And D. The oracle of Yahweh, verses 4 through 10. The oracle of Yahweh is extensive, since both good figs and bad figs need to be explicated. The oracle falls into 2 halves. After the introduction, verse 4, the good figs are explained in 5 through 7, and the bad figs in 8 through 10.
Sure. That makes sense.
All right, let's explain these figs.
Yeah. We can already kind of guess it's, very
No way.
basic metaphor here. So like these good figs, so I will regard as the exiles from Judah, whom I have sent away from this place to the land of the Chaldeans. I will set my eyes on them for good, and I will bring them back to this land. And I will bring them back to this. Hold on. I think I just read that twice. I will set eyes on them for good, and I will bring them back to this land. I will build them up and not tear them down. I will plant them and not pluck them up. I will give them a heart to know that I am the Lord, and that they shall be my people, and I will be their God, for they shall return to me with their whole heart. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is markedly different from the character that we've seen Yahweh portray in the last chapter.
With God as subject and one heart as object, the wording is found in Ezekiel 11:19, 36:26, and 2 Chronicles 30:12. The only other comparable passages are 1 Kings 3:9, 12, is part of the narrative of Solomon's dream. Give your servant an understanding mind to judge your people. Doubtless part of the pre-Deuteronomistic material in the chapter. And Deuteronomy 29:3, Yahweh has not given you the mind to understand, which...
I mean, either way, the thing that's being said here is that the people will come back, very happy with God.
Right. The heart is the center of decision making.
Yeah, exactly. Open arms, I guess. But thus says the Lord, like the bad figs that are so bad they cannot be eaten, so I will treat Zedekiah, the king of Judah, his officials, the remnant of Jerusalem who remain in this land, and those who dwell in the land of Egypt. I will make them a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth, to be a reproach, a byword, a taunt, and a curse in all the places where I shall drive them. And I will send sword, famine, and pestilence upon them, until they shall be utterly destroyed from the land that I gave to them and their fathers. And of course, that's all the imagery that we got before. Sword, famine, pestilence, classic stuff.
So let me read a few comments here. The remnant of Jerusalem remaining in the land, as Lundbom notes, this prophecy reverses the covenantal expectations. It's the Judahites who were exiled who will prove to be the saving remnant, whereas those who remained in the kingdom of Judah will be like the bad figs, unfit for consumption, and hence destined to be thrown away. And I will make them a horror. The prophecy of destruction in this verse and the next is entirely composed of stereotypical phrases that express humiliation and destruction. One might justifiably say that this is boilerplate prophecy, at least in stylistic terms. It may be that prose prophecy lends itself to this tendency, whereas the pressure to formulate parallel terms and metaphors in the poetic prophecy more often, though not invariably, leads to original expression. Now I want to read the section on this chapter from Eerdmans. It's only it's not super long.
Okay.
Ironically, one might have interpreted matters differently, for the original circumstances of Zedekiah's rise to the throne had cost the community only the loss of the young king Jeconiah and his royal court at the hands of Babylonian forces. A punitive action in response to Jehoiakim's, Jeconiah's father, disloyal vassalage and insurrection toward Babylonian suzerainty. On the surface, those under the sign of exile might be viewed as the delegitimized and judged. Those left behind might be viewed the purged remnant, ready to carry the burden and the promise of Israel. The symbolic vision of the good and the rotten figs prevents that reading and more. It evaluates the divided political community of Judah just the opposite. The claim to Israel has passed to the Jeconiah group exiled in Babylon. They are the good figs. They are the heirs of restoration. Notice that the promise is return to the land and reestablishment of national life. The restored Jeconiah group will realize the ideal Israel projected by covenant formulary, while the mission to turn the community back to Yahwistic purity failed with respect to the community still in the land, it will succeed with this one group of exiles. Notice that the Egyptian diaspora is explicitly excluded in verse 8. For Yahweh will miraculously transfigure the Jeconiah group so that they can fulfill the conditions on which restoration hangs, in verse 7. Notice that the promise of restoration is unmotivated and unconditionally worded, rooted solely in God's act. Equally unconditional and absolute is the consignment of the Zedekiah group and his remnants of Jerusalem to total destruction as the rotten figs. Their loss of life, destiny, and the rights in the land is complete. The composition redefines the rights to Israel. It writes off all claimants except for the Jeconiah group in Babylon. No explanation is given for the assigned valuation of the group as good figs, therefore of their entitlement to Yahwistic restoration. Mere physical exile from the land is not sufficient, contra Egyptian diaspora claims. Only that group in Babylon receives the title Exile of Judah. By implication, an exclusionary label. More than that, the composition begins the process of symbolically depopulating the land, freeing it, therefore, for repossession and restoration by announcing the total annihilation of the Zedekian remnant and all others. Hence the emphasis on the imminent death of Zedekiah here and in the opening frame piece, 21:1-10. The only group left able to claim the heritage of Israel is with Jeconiah in Babylon. For the first time, the ideological vested interests of the colonized elite appear more clearly on the surface of the composition in their bid to achieve symbolic and literal hegemony over the restoration of Israel, its tenor and identity, and the revitalization of the Yahwistic myth.
Agreed.
There you go.
All right, fantastic.
So, I hope everyone enjoyed the readings for today.
Yeah, I didn't mind them. I thought they
Yeah.
were fine
Good
readings.
reading today.
We've got like one more chapter in the first Jeremiah
Well,
commentary.
yeah, at least from Holiday, because Holidays is split up into two. Of course, Jeremiah 1 and Jeremiah 2.
Yeah, because they wanted to charge twice as much.
And who wouldn't?
Yeah. I mean, it would be huge either way, right? Because
Eerdmans.
quite a lot of them. Yeah, Eerdmans, yeah, of course. So I guess next week, or not next week, because next week,
I'm going to be gone.
yeah.
I
So
guess we'll take a break.
yeah, I guess no show next week. You'll be here on Friday though, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'll be here on Friday. I'm pretty sure, like 95% sure.
Okay, well, if anything changes, we'll know.
We'll let you know.
And I hope to have the Akhenaten video done this week.
Well,
So if
that's
anything,
something you can do on Sunday, huh?
yeah, I guess.
There you go.
Well, no, I mean, I'll be doing it,
Throughout the week.
before
either way.
Sunday. So
All right.
yeah, hopefully you guys get that, and hopefully that makes up for the absence. Yeah.
But as I noted, we are finishing that one commentary.
Yeah.
If you'd like to buy us more books to add on to this table, you can check out our Amazon wish list where there's just tons of books there that we'll use to source for videos and to use for projects like this.
Yeah, lots of great sources. We'll read through them and use them. Let's see what else we got. We got a Patreon. Maybe you want a shirt. Maybe you want to be entered into a t-shirt giveaway. Well, do I have the solution for you? You could become a $10 patron or more, and you get entered into a monthly t-shirt giveaway.
And if you don't want to deal with the giveaway thing, you can just buy a t-shirt from our Teespring.
Yeah, it's all there. But even for $1 a month, you know what you get on Patreon?
What do we get?
Access to all of our video scripts.
Whoa!
I know, it's crazy. It's bonkers. For $1 a month, you can have access to basically a little library.
Yeah, one that's more extensive and well-studied than the Nag Hammadi Library and the Library of
Wow.
Alexandria combined.
Amazing. Almost a meaningless statement.
Almost.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Facebook and Twitter are free to follow us on there. I think we got something else, don't we? Or is that it?
Oh, I think you're pretty much
We got
it.
a BitChute.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You can find us on BitChute.
you can find us on BitChute.
We only have a few videos up because Lauren stopped uploading.
Yeah, I did. You're right. So you know what? If we did miss something, all the links are in the description.
They're all there.
Yeah. So either way, thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will
See you on
Friday.